can refresh that one.
We're having a little bit of technical difficulty here, so please bear with us. Okay, we are live.
We are live, and so
Sorry about
Pat,
that.
happy Tuesday again.
Happy Tuesday again. We've been talking for the last 5 or 6 minutes, not realizing that we weren't live.
But it was really good. So just to do it again will be so much better. We won't make any mistakes with it this time.
Absolutely. I'm going to talk first about how we've noticed so much more traffic recently. Oh my goodness. Clearly, people are getting out and shopping and doing all kinds of things that they haven't been able to do for the last year and a quarter or so. Um, we have noticed from a real estate perspective that there has been a little bit of a slowdown, and I don't mean that truly in a negative sense whatsoever. It's just with people being able to get out of their homes and travel and see friends and relatives, and graduations and weddings, and just school being let out. People are feeling free to do some traveling, whether it's short term or long term. So they're not sitting in their home paying attention to their computers only.
Yeah.
And David, take
Yeah.
it
No.
away. You had
Well.
some good points.
No. I think the thing for the last year is everybody was communicating just the way we are just now, and while that's fine and dandy and great, the fact that we couldn't hug our grandkids in person, we couldn't do that, that people are so happy to be back out doing that. But one of the things that a lot of people learned in the last year is that one of the services that is really hooked up is real estate when it comes to the internet, when it comes to the web. And we talk about it all the time with our clients when we're doing consultations, and we're talking about how 90+% of buyers will go straight to the internet to look for property, and that's why what we do in terms of presenting it, marketing property, it's very key that we do it well. But that was something that people could do, and a lot of people did it in the last 18 months.
Absolutely.
Now they're freed up. Now they can move away from their computer or their tablet or their phone and actually go and do real things. It definitely has created that little bit of a lull that we've seen, and still the tight sellers market, and even tighter, but a few less buyers. A little bit of buyer fatigue is what we've been hearing, and that's definitely something that's come into play.
Yeah, especially for first time home buyers or buyers in the lower price ranges. They're writing 5 and 6 offers often before they're finally able to get one of their offers accepted. And we understand how frustrating that can be. But we're seeing that these buyers are now able to get a home. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's been wonderful for them with interest rates still being so low.
Yes, yes. I think there is a general trend that we're hearing that interest rates may not stay as low as they are right now. But there's also a trend that from a house value, house price standpoint, it doesn't look like that's going to change. That all of the major financial institutions that are tied to real estate are talking about, they actually have revised their market pricing for the year 2021, and they've revised it upwards, so that even the lowest company, I think was actually Fannie Mae, was saying 6.6% growth in real estate this year, and some of the others were a little more bullish, as much as 12 or 13% growth this year. So house prices are still going to rise. Interest rates are where they are now. It's still a great time to both sell a property, as well as if you qualify and you've got great credit, it's a great time to get that low interest rate mortgage and buy a property.
Absolutely. We were watching a program earlier today, which comes out once a month, and it was really quite interesting. It actually confirmed a lot of what we're seeing. This program talks about what's going on nationally, but we see that we are definitely following the national trends. What was interesting is that seller traffic, which means listings, has been relatively slow in our area and in our region of the United States, but it is a much more stable market in Florida and some of the other states. And a stable market means that there is more inventory to keep up with the buyer demand. That's kind of a stable market is truly what most people prefer because you have the correct amount of buyers and sellers wishing to purchase and wishing to sell, which makes it much easier for buyers to not have to go into a multiple offer situation.
Yeah, that's true. And with the multiple offer situations that we've had for the last 6 months or more, um, some of the fallout from that is also difficult to deal with, because sometimes people get into a bidding situation, like you're bidding for something on eBay and you really want to win it. And we
Right.
certainly try to help and create strategies to help win, but we also try to be conservative and try to not have our clients, um, I was going to say going crazy, but going overboard, and
Right.
then a day later, when they do win, having buyer's remorse.
Correct.
Nothing worse than that.
No, there
So,
really isn't. And that kind of brings up a point about something that we can discuss, David, and that is what is an escalation clause and how that comes into a contract presented by a buyer to a seller. So, what we're seeing, because there are so many more buyers than sellers at this time, is many buyers are putting escalation clauses into their offers. I don't know if you are totally aware of how that works, so that's something that we'd like to talk to you about. David,
mhm.
would you like to go over that?
Yeah, and the first thing that we do amongst
Excuse me, I'm here. My
first thing we do amongst ourselves in the Licata group team is, we we try to get as much information from the listing agent as possible to help make our strategy. And if we are going to write an escalation clause, make it work. There are some listing agents that really don't like escalation clauses. And as a buyer's agent, if you just go ahead and write one, you don't know that you're maybe upsetting the other side. So it's always good to have a conversation with that listing agent, which we do, and we find out exactly what they want. A lot of times we're seeing
right,
listings with a closeout date for offers and a best and final offers only, please, no escalation clauses. But in other cases, the escalation clause is accepted and happy for them to receive. And basically, in a nutshell, what an escalation clause does is it gives you a chance to make an offer at a price that you feel you would like to have the house, but then it also gives you a stretch to a maximum price that you would be willing to pay, which would be above your initial offer, and definitely in this market would be above the listing price.
mhm,
And with that max price, you're basically saying, irrespective of other factors, which you can have other contingencies in your offer, but irrespective of those, if somebody else bids higher than you in an escalation clause or in a straightforward offer, your escalation clause will kick in. And if you've said it that you will be $1,000 higher than the next closest offer, or $5,000 higher than the next closest offer, then that is the price that you will win the property for. The other factor that I have to say with that is that, um, people always ask me, how do I know that there was another
right,
offer there? And because the listing agent, the seller, has to show you the actual offer, has to show our side as a buyer's agent, they have to show us that they had an actual legal contract offered to them at the price that that our escalation clause beat out. So it's definitely something that works. Do you want to add something on that, Pam?
well, so definitely the buyer is protected in that respect because the agent can't just say, oh, well, we had an escalation up to 375 when in fact they didn't. Because as David said, they're required to show us the offer so that we know that that in fact took place. One of the things and that David mentioned was, some listing agents don't like escalation clauses. And I can tell you, being a listing agent, I don't really like them either. And the reason that I don't is because sometimes an agent will advise their client to put an escalation clause to some ridiculous amount that you know the home will never appraise for, just so that they are insured to win the offer. But if that price is really unattainable and just not correct for the home, then you have to me, it's like playing a game. And there is so much involved in figuring out if you've got 4 or 5 different escalation clauses in different offers, and then you've got the appraisal to worry about. So, unless it's a cash offer where the appraisal is being waived, then those unrealistic prices really don't mean much. So, if you are looking to purchase a home, please do keep that in mind when you work with your buyer's agent to make sure that you're not putting yourself in a place where it's so unrealistic that the listing agent may say, "We just need to throw this one out because it's unrealistic." So we're happy to talk more with you about that if that is a question that you may have about how escalation clauses work, because they are prevalent in today's market for sure,
Yeah,
whether you
definitely.
like them or not.
Yeah, no, they definitely are, and I think as you clearly pointed out, from a seller side, it's having a trusted advisor in one of our team that can actually help you understand, is that a ridiculous escalation price that they're going to? Why is it like that? And also, what's the difference between the escalation clauses that you're looking at in offers? And then going back to the other stuff, is there a cash offer there with an escalation? That might still be the ultimate winner, even though there may be an escalation clause that goes to 400 or 425. So again, but it's definitely something prevalent in the market. It works just like an eBay auction bid, although you can't click, click, click at the last minute. You're locked in. And the one other thing, as a buyer's agent, I prefer, if we're going to write an escalation clause, I prefer to submit it to the deadline for offers, because if I submit it too early, honestly, the seller and the listing agent know that that's the maximum price that my buyer can go to. So they're a little, they have to present, so they can't hold off too long, but it does give them a little more time to say, hey, I've got something in hand and I can work on getting another offer that gets me closer to that. So there's a little negative on using the escalation clause in that circumstance.
That is true. And in our experience, in all of these circumstances are really what can benefit both buyers and sellers, because we've seen so many different options and different types of contracts and escalation clauses come through our hands that we definitely have the best idea, I believe, and how to help you navigate through that and get what you want. As a buyer's agent, you're representing the buyer to get whatever home they wish to purchase at the best price and terms for them. When you're the listing agent, you're working for the seller, trying to get the absolute best price and terms for the seller. And that is why we don't do dual agency within our team, because we feel that it really is a conflict of interest. Can't do both.
Yeah, and in this market, with the speed that things are going, and I've said many times, the reason that Amazon wins so much and has won so much is because they're fast, and
Yes.
speed wins. And in today's housing market, real estate market, houses are popping up. We actually heard somebody this morning say, hate to say it, but we're actually like Pop-Tart realtors,
Yes.
because houses are popping up, and if we don't jump on it immediately for our clients,
Someone else will.
someone else will. And being in a team with 7 agents, and the ability that we have is that one of the 7 of us will be there if we need to get a virtual showing of that property the same day, if we need to get an in-person showing of that property, even if I am tied up with something else, I know Pat, John, Keith, other people in the team will jump in
Right.
and cover for this. And that is a huge advantage of working with a team in today's environment. Because a single agent has a lot on their plate, has a lot to do. And it's hard for a single agent if they're working on a closing, or if they're working on writing an offer, or addendums or appraisals.
Or a doctor's appointment.
Exactly. Yeah, the real life things.
Right.
Anyway, it's definitely that market where we need to, as soon as something pops up, we need to be on it.
I agree. So why don't we go over some of the things that we talked about today and the class that we took. We are students of the market,
Yeah.
so we are always looking to understand what is going on so that we can help our clients make intelligent decisions.
Well, one of the things that jumped out at me today in the class was that housing affordability is still at one of the highest periods in history. And it's not affordable housing that we're talking about, it's housing affordability. And that is a combination of having either equity and that you can turn into cash to use for purchasing power, or low interest rates, that at a low interest rate you can afford a larger mortgage, which gives you the affordability to buy a house. And it really is at an extremely high level today, and people shouldn't be thinking that just because house prices seem to have risen, and they have pretty substantially in the last year, the housing affordability is still there for people to buy. So it's, again, great time for sales, but also it is still affordable to buy a house.
And as a matter of fact, uh, you've heard this cliche probably for years that it is less expensive to buy than it is to rent, but that is absolutely positively true. Um, the rental prices have grown substantially over the past several years, and inventory for rentals is even lower than it is for homes.
Right, correct.
So it makes it extremely difficult to rent a home in today's market as well.
And back again on affordability, in 2006, the percentage of the median income needed to purchase a medium priced home was 25%. 25% of your disposable income you needed to have available for the purchase and the maintenance of mortgage and so on of a home. Today, it's down at 14.4%.
Wow.
And then even going back to 1985 to the year 2000, it was 21.2%. So it's 14% of what you're earning and income have you need for a home purchase. That's still great. It's still definitely an affordable time to purchase a home.
Absolutely.
The other thing that we've, as students of the market, we follow a lot of what's going on in the mortgage side of things with the Fannie Mae's and Freddie Mac's and the different types of lending institutions out there. But now even the big banks are weighing in on what's going on. JP Morgan, Merrill Lynch, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley. They've all got real estate parts of their portfolio, and they're weighing in, and everybody is saying pretty much the same thing. This is not a bubble market. This is not like what it was 15 years ago. The qualifications to get into the mortgage business, or to get into getting a mortgage, are very strict. And that while there may be a slight slowdown, and if interest rates rise, that will certainly cause a slight slowdown, the long term and even the short term results are expected to see continued strong growth in house values going forward. So it's a great investment, and their real estate portfolios, they're not selling on the real estate side of
Right.
their portfolio. They may be selling on the gold, or they may be selling on other equities and so on, but they're definitely not selling on the real estate side of their business. Which actually, I don't know, Pat, we were going to talk a little bit about appraisals. That might go there.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about
So, one of the things that we are definitely seeing, and as David mentioned, we do have a team. We have 7 agents on our team, And more than half of us within the past few weeks have had appraisal issues where the home has not appraised, where we were either the listing agent or brought the buyer to the property. So, what that means is that the appraisers are having trouble keeping up with the escalating values in homes. Banks, of course, don't want to lend on the highest priced home in the neighborhood. Um, but what we're seeing is the values escalating so quickly that the value may not be there for comps that the appraiser sees. So let's take a closing that's going to happen the end of this month is concerned. Most likely, that was the contract on that home was written sometime in May. So homes are escalating in value to a point that that's kind of in May when that contract was written. That was great for that time, but now the appraiser's not coming out until perhaps the end of June or mid June to look at it. So they're only looking at old data from homes that had been listed prior to that when the value had not increased yet. So it's just creating a really sticky time occasionally, and I don't mean that this happens with every home, but we definitely have seen that there are appraisal issues. So there are things that can be done to work very hard to work on that and help the appraiser understand why you felt that that was an appropriate price at the time. If you're the listing agent, what we do is a packet for the appraiser showing the comps that we used to price the property. We can also include how many offers we had, what prices there were on those offers. I've done spreadsheets before and just put this nice packet together to help the appraisers because the appraisers are exhausted as well. I mean, they are working nonstop, they're under deadlines because appraisals have to be done within a certain time frame when they accept the appraisal. And life gets in the way sometimes, but that's not an excuse. They still have to get it done. So we do everything we can to help them and make it easier, which number one benefits them because they don't have to work as hard. Number two, it benefits us because we're getting the numbers that we need in order to make the transaction work.
Yeah, that's very true. I personally have had a couple recently, as you mentioned, a number of the agents have. And I think it's a misnomer to think that on the buyer side that you kind of like, well, I've made an offer. If the appraisal comes in lower, the seller's automatically going to drop their price. No, that
They're
doesn't.
not.
It's with the multiple offers we have in the market right now, the seller's just as likely to say, oh dear, sorry, what a shame. But guess what? I've got a stronger, not a stronger offer, but I've got an offer here that I didn't accept because I liked yours, but you had an appraisal contingency. This one has it, but better financing or more cash or whatever. I think I'll go that route. And so my buyer is all of a sudden back on the street. So you really want that appraisal to come in for full value, for the value that you put in the offer. That way everything moves forwards. You've got your pre-qualification as a buyer for a certain amount of mortgage. That's all good to go. The seller is happy. You've got what we're always striving for, which is the win-win.
That's right.
You want that seller to enjoy your new buyer coming into the house. You want them to take care of things as they move out of the house, take care of their property. You want that because
It's just a smoother transaction all the way around
absolutely.
when everyone feels good about it.
Yeah.
And that, as David said, that's what we work really hard is to make it a win-win for everyone because that's absolutely the best route to take.
Yeah. Now, I think you had a local community event that you were pleased that you
We
could
do.
actually finally talk about. So
Yes.
why don't you tell
So
that to
the
the audience?
concert on the point at Lake of the Woods, we didn't have any at all last year. Our first one, which should have been in May, was rained out and it was so disappointing. Unchained was the band that was to have played, and I've gotten so much feedback that everyone really enjoyed Unchained when they played a few years ago. Um, this Friday is another favorite at Lake of the Woods reunion band, and they will be playing On the Point beginning at 7 o'clock. So the concert typically goes from 7 to 9:30. So if you're planning on going, you can have dinner at the clubhouse, or just bring whatever you'd like in your lawn chairs and sit out and enjoy the concert. People are really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and again, belated Father's Day to those on the weekend. I had a
Yes.
great Father's Day weekend, and
You
some,
just moved to the
I
lake.
did just move to
Congratulations.
the lake. Thank you, Pat, and it's just great to be here. I moved down from Northern Virginia, and was at the club, and there was lots of people out doing little family gatherings and so on in the point there, doing barbecuing and stuff. It was nice to see everybody out there, as well as the people on the lake as well. So.
Yes.
Um,
Well, thank you. And if you have any questions, please feel free to drop us a line. You can email us at info@licatagroup.com or give us a call. The office number is 540-388-2541. And we do offer free notary services anytime between the hours of 9 and 5:30, Monday through Friday. And if you have a few items that you'd like to shred, we also have a box here without a key. We don't have the key, but you can place them in the box, and then we call the shredder when the box is full to come and pick up.
Great. Well, thanks again, and we hope to see you again next week. It will be a couple of our other colleagues and agents here that will join you for LicataLive.
All right, thank you.
Okay, bye-bye now.
Bye.